Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about some very simple ways to clarify how to read a chart, to really pick up a chart and know what you're doing and make sense of it. Because astrology is so complicated, I want to give you a systematic way that you can look at a chart and begin to read it. So before I begin, I'd like to remind everyone to go to my website and sign up for my free newsletter where you will get my predictions delivered to your email address every month. And while you're there, don't forget to check out my beautiful spiritual jewelry. And if you want to learn Vedic astrology, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. And my website to sign up for my free newsletter is galacticcenter.org. So here are some basic rules of astrology. The first thing I always teach my students is to go right to the ascendant. What is the rising sign? When you look at what planet rules the rising sign, that becomes the chart ruler, and wherever it goes in the chart is going to be a focus. So when you start this, you must know the meanings of the houses. The houses are everything. They set the foundation. They set the whole lifetime of areas of your life. So when you know the first house is you, the second house is finances and your beginnings in life, and family, the third house is siblings and your communications and creativity. Fourth house is your home and mother. Fifth house is your children, creativity. The sixth house is your health and healing and your work day. The seventh house is your marriage partner or business partner. The eighth house is money through other people, plus it also deals with endings such as death. But it deals with anything to do with death, such as inheritances, such as talking to people on the other side. That the eighth house is deep, it's dark. The ninth house is spirituality, truth, and your father. The 10th house is your career, your social standing. The 11th house is friends, groups, organizations, and gains. Great gains. The 12th house is endings, foreign lands and countries, and ways that we get away from the world, such as sleep, such as foreign travel, such as hospitals and prisons. That's all 12th house. So now that we kind of have an understanding of these fields of action, areas of our life, every single area of your life will fall into a house. Even pets. Pets are the 6th house. So if there is ever anything that you want to know, what does it rule? I guarantee you every single compartment of your life falls in a house. So here's what you do. So if you know the ruler of the chart, let's say that this is a Sagittarius rising. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. That's the ruler of the chart, Jupiter. Whatever house it goes to will be the focus of that person's life. Let's say Jupiter goes to the 9th house. The 9th house is spirituality and truth, and the father, and long distance travel. So that will be, most of the life will be around those adventures. So let's go to the next planet in the chart. Go to the moon. Where is the moon? What house is it in? And what house does it rule? Here's how it works. The planets rule houses. And whatever your ascendant sign is sets up each house's rulership. So if you have Gemini ascendant, that means Gemini rules Mercury rules the first house because Mercury rules Gemini. What follows Gemini? Cancer. So Cancer is going to be the 2nd house. This is in the natural order of the zodiac. It follows, Cancer follows Gemini. So the 2nd house is going to be Cancer. So the 2nd house is ruled by the moon. And wherever the moon goes in the chart will tell about the money and the childhood experiences. So let's say Let's say the moon goes to the 8th house. It rules the 2nd. That would definitely mean that early childhood experiences were tough. The 8th house is tough. But it can also mean that money will come through other people, especially like inheritances. Because why? The 2nd house is money. Wherever the ruler of the 2nd house goes is going to be where your money's going to come through. In the 8th house, it'll be through other people or inheritances. If the ruler of the 2nd house goes to the 6th house. The 6th house deals with health. That means you'll make your money through health, ways of health. If the ruler of the 2nd house, the moon, goes to, and it doesn't, no matter what your ascendant is, it's whatever planet rules your 2nd. I'm just using this as an example because if the rising is Gemini, the 2nd house is Cancer, ruled by the moon. The house the moon goes into tells you how you make your money. Let's go to the 3rd house. The 3rd house deals with brothers and sisters, and it also deals with our communications. So whatever planet rules the 3rd house, it will bring 3rd house reason, rhyme and reason from it. So let's get back to going from planet to planet. So we just checked out the moon, and we know the moon in this particular chart rules the 2nd house, and that's going to deal with how they make their money. So let's go to the next planet in the chart. Let's go to Mercury. You're going to want to look at what houses Mercury rules and what house it's in. Now, if Mercury rules, let's just say you got a Sagittarius ascendant, right? So that means that Mercury will rule the 7th house. Gemini is going to be on the 7th house of Sagittarius ascendant, and Mercury will rule the 10th house. So let's say that Mercury, ruler of both the 7th, which is what, relationships and career, let's say that Mercury sits in the 10th house in its own sign in Virgo. Then that would mean that the 7th house ruler, Mercury rules both the 7th and the 10th, so it sits in the 10th. This is very strong for work and career because the ruler of the 10th house is in the 10th house, but it also rules the 7th. Therefore, they will probably meet their marriage partner, 7th house, through their job, through their career, through their work. See? Or once they get married, they will work with their marriage partner. That's what the 7th house ruler in the 10th house can mean. Or vice versa, the ruler of the 10th and the 7th. Okay, so what we're doing is going from planet to planet. I don't mean to confuse you. So we just looked at Mercury. Let's go to Venus. What house is Venus in? And what houses does Venus rule? Let's go to another example where Venus rules, let's say it's Sagittarius ascendant again, and Venus will rule the 11th house, and it will also rule the 6th house, okay? So Venus takes on the quality of houses 11 and 6, okay? So it's going to carry the energy of the 6th and the 11th house some way. And where is Venus placed? Okay, let's just say it's placed in, Venus is in the 12th house. So with Sagittarius rising, Venus is in the 12th house, and it has to be in Scorpio because the 12th from Sagittarius is Scorpio. So let's just say Venus is in the 12th house, but it rules the 6th and the 11th. Venus, ruler of the 11th house can be friends, groups, and organizations, and it sits in the 12th house, which deals with, well, let me just say the 6th house and the 11th house. The 11th house is groups, but the 6th house deals with health and healing. And with Venus being in the 12th house, that person is going to work with friends, 11th house, 6th house, healing, maybe some kind of charitable organizations, with groups and friends and healing, because the 12th house can deal with charities, organizations of healing. And another thing is it could be losing friends, because maybe there's been great loss around friends. The ruler of the 11th, Venus, goes to the 12th house of losses, endings. So that's how that could be read. And then you go to Mars. Let's say there's a Virgo ascendant. Therefore, Mars will rule the 8th and the 3rd. And let's say Mars goes to the 6th. Okay. So if Mars sits in the 6th house, but it rules the 8th and the 3rd, it's going to give indications about siblings. And because it is the ruler of the 3rd house, it's siblings. Mars is also the indicator of siblings, and it sits in the 6th house. 6th house is health, difficulty with health. There may be a sick sibling. So now let's go to Saturn. Let's say Saturn is in the 7th house. And let's just say possibly it is a Gemini ascendant. So if Saturn sits in the 7th house, it sits in Sagittarius. Now let's say that Saturn rules, and like I said before, what if it ruled the 9th house and it sits in the 7th house? Then that could mean, let's see, Saturn would rule with Gemini ascendant, it would rule the 8th and it would rule the 9th, but it sits in the 7th house. Now, first of all, Saturn gets strength in the 7th house. It's actually not bad. It's strengthens Saturn, gets Digbala, directional strength. And Saturn being in the 7th house, but it takes on the quality of the 9th and the 8th. So there can be some spiritual tendencies of the partner, but the relationships will be difficult. Whenever the ruler of the 7th or the ruler of the 8th is in the 7th, or the ruler of the 7th is in the 8th, there's going to be problems in relationships. So let me repeat that. Saturn being ruling the 8th in the 7th, and or if Saturn rules the 7th and is in the 8th, it causes problems in relationships. Remember, the 8th and the 12th house are going to cause some difficulties. So we talked about, did we talk about Jupiter? Yes. So Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, just in case, remember my original interpretation, if Jupiter rules the 9th house, let's say that Jupiter is in the 9th and it rules the 9th. Let's say Jupiter's in Sagittarius in the 9th, but it goes to the 12th. Yes, it rules the 9th, but it goes to the 12th. And in this particular scenario, then Pisces would be the 12th house. So let me repeat this so you can wrap your head around this. So Jupiter is the planet. It's ruler of the 9th and the 12th because Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces. If it sits in the 9th house, this could be good things for the father. Jupiter, ruler of the 9th and the 9th, but it also brings over the qualities of the 12th house, which could make the father a little distant or probably travel a lot to foreign places. And if we have Jupiter, ruler of the 9th, and it sits in the 12th in Pisces, then the ruler of the 9th, representing the father, goes to the 12th house. The father could travel, not be around a lot because he's traveling to foreign countries. So you see, what you're doing is, and I'm going to start in the future of these little mini classes, show you charts on how this is done. But the whole premise that I want you to understand from what I just went through is you look at where the planets are What houses do they rule? Because they bring that energy of those houses to the house that it sits in. And you go through each planet, what house it's in, what house it rules, what house it's in, what house it rules, what house it's in, what house it rules. And when you understand all the profound meanings of the houses, you blend them. And you'll start reading charts, and you will totally, completely amaze yourself on how you can see a person's life. This is true and this is real. Astrology is so profound and amazing. It is the divine science. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information on me, please go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org, and please check out my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.